Okay, here is the overview for getting ready for the fall final in European history. On your Canvas homepage is where you're going to want to go first, and you've got the fall final exam section here. Just need you to download these 3 documents, create a fall final exam folder, and download those documents and save them all in there. So we should have our unit subfolders and then just create a new subfolder in our European history folder for fall final exam. You want to save these in a file format that you can write in because you're probably going to want to take a few notes as we move along through this video. So once you do that, we're going to look at this document here first, Fall Final Exam Study Guide, and we'll look through all these documents here briefly. Once you get to Fall Final Exam Study Guide, the first thing you'll see here are the different eras that we've studied in order. There's going to be some chronology questions. So one thing you need to do is just know these in order. You don't need to know all these little dates here like this. There might be some study guidelines on down below that say, like know the date of the medieval era, in which case you need to know that. But for the purposes of chronology, you just need to know these different eras in order relative to each other. So you just need to know the different eras in the order that we studied them, and there'll be some chronology questions based off of that chronological ordering. Just so you know, down the home stretch of the semester here, we obviously had our test on the medieval. Next test is the Renaissance, and we'll have a mini test on exploration and colonization. This will be our last test. It'll be worth half of a full test. This will be our last test of the quarter. After we finish this, we'll study Reformation and religious wars, but that'll just get tied onto the final exam. We're not going to try to cram in one additional unit test at the very end. So for the second quarter test, medieval, Renaissance, and then a mini test on exploration and colonization. Everything after that, we're just going to be studying Reformation and religious wars, and that will be wrapped into the final exam. We're not going to have a unit test on this. So the first thing you need to study is chronology, there's kind of 3 major things we need to do. The first being chronology. The second and the major thing we need to do is study these study guidelines. These are some of the study guidelines from the unit tests. So what you need to do is you need to put this study guide, Fall Final Exam Study Guide, you need to put that next to your unit tests, and these are some, not all, but some of the study guidelines from the unit tests. So then you just go through the unit tests, like here's Greece, here's our first unit on Rome, which had to do with the Republic, the democracy. Here's had to do with the empire and the fall of Rome. You just put this next to the unit tests, unit by unit, and you just identify which ones you're responsible for off the unit tests. And these will be some of the study guidelines, not all. So you just highlight or check mark the ones you need to study in your unit study guides, and then you just have your study guide compiled, and then you just need to review it. The one exception being Reformation and religious wars, which we'll study at the very end, and then there's some study guidelines for that here down at the bottom that you're going to need to complete in the lead into the final exam. So again, the component parts are chronology, and then the sum of the study guidelines, the one that are listed here from the unit tests. Let's just read this to make sure we're on the same page. Note that the vast majority of these study guidelines, down below here, are skills that you practice for earlier tests. Go back through your old study guides and notes, but mainly your study guides. I'm really only pointing you to your study guides. To review and put together the study sheet, there'll be new guidelines on Reformation and religious wars, your study of which will be included on the final. So you need to know the chronology, the different eras that we've studied in the order that we've studied them. You need to know some of the study guidelines from the unit test, which are listed here. And then you're going to need to prepare an essay, the essay question I'm going to give you here in just a minute. And those are the 3 pieces for getting ready to the final. Chronology, study guidelines, essay. Looking at the next document here, the format document, we'll have some chronology questions. This is just the format. We'll practice these types of questions closer to the exam. There'll be some multiple choice. There'll be some matching sections. There'll be some more multiple choice. We'll have some bonus in the form of another chronology set. So there's going to be like 95 items on the Scantron, and then the essay. That's the format of the test. The essay question I'm about to give you here in just 1 second. 95 items on the Scantron, a combination of chronology, multiple choice, matching, and the essay. So everything other than the essay is going to go on the Scantron. Okay, let's look at the essay question. I've provided it for you here. This is the last document of the 3 that you downloaded. This is essay prompts, okay? So here's the essay question, and this is going to be the exact form that I give it to you on the test. So this is going to look exactly like the assignment sheet as it looks on the test. We're going to handwrite this because I can't control for all the computers. And additionally, you cannot bring in a note card. You cannot bring in an outline on a piece of paper, whatever, because I can't control for all that paper. But I'm just giving you the essay question like 6 weeks in advance. So as always in our writing, we want to use details, specifics, elaborate with substance, don't be vague or general. And here's the question. A major theme of belief within Western civilization is humanism. While the belief in humanism is consistent throughout our studies, the forms of humanism have changed dramatically over time. One major aspect of change within humanism relates to how humans view themselves in relation and relative to God, or in the pre-Christian Greek and Roman time periods, the gods. They're polytheists. Why did people in Western civilization view themselves in their relationship to God or the gods differently at different times in history? Your essay should contain a thesis that states your answer to this question, and your body paragraph should support your thesis. Do not use first person in your introduction and body paragraphs. Instead, state your opinion as facts. So basically, this is going to be the intro here. So I would kind of put that in brackets, okay? As you jot down some notes in this document, I would put that in brackets. The topic is humanism, why humanistic belief has changed over time. We have 3 different forms of humanistic belief that we've studied this semester: Greco-Roman humanism, Christian humanism, also known as Christianity, and Renaissance humanism, which is the combo of the 2. Renaissance humanism equaling Greco-Roman humanism plus Christianity. Use the following list of prompts to guide your discussion of the historical background that shapes the beliefs of humanism era by era. Accurately define the different forms of humanism and discuss the events, effects, cultural phenomenon of each era that reflect the belief system of the time. You are encouraged to provide additional details to support your answer. Okay, so for paragraph 1, you're going to talk about ancient Greece, and you're going to talk about the context, and you're going to talk about their belief system, the way they saw the gods as unpredictable and violent, etc., and how that led to a belief in Greco-Roman humanism, and you want to define that belief system, what it is exactly. And then you just give some details about the effects or the events or the cultural phenomenon that reflect the belief system. So these are just some examples. This will be listed on the assignment sheet on the exam as well. You can take these or leave these. You can obviously include other details, but the Parthenon would be an example you could detail and elaborate on to talk about Greco-Roman humanistic belief. The Greek tragedies and the emphasis on hubris. You could talk about the Olympic Games out of ancient Greece. There's the rise and fall of Athens as a real-life Greek tragedy. There's any number of examples you could provide there. So here's just some suggestions, and you can obviously pick and choose your own as well. And then body paragraph 2, you're going to be talking about the medieval. What's the circumstance of the medieval out of the collapse of Rome? Why Christianity is so central at this time period? Why Christianity is a form of humanism? Define that. And then again, you give some examples of the effects and the manifestations and the phenomenon. Here are some examples, but obviously you could choose many more. And then lastly, the Renaissance time period, what's going on there, what are their goals, define their belief system of Renaissance humanism, and then there are any number of examples, like even in the arts alone, but Medici Palace, different forms and expressions of individualism, all sorts of Renaissance artwork that represents the Renaissance, creation of Adam, David by Michelangelo, the portraits would be an example, et cetera, of the Renaissance time period. And then the conclusion is a little bit separate deal. It's not part of the larger formal essay. So in the larger formal essay, intro and body paragraphs, don't use first person, just state your opinion as fact. But the conclusion, it's related to the topic, but the conclusion, instead of just reiterating our thesis again, I thought we'd just have a little personal time for reflection. And I meant to say the intro, I would break this up into 3 different sentences. Trying to do all this in like one sentence with a 3-pronged thesis would be a mess. You want to talk about those different eras and what's going on in those different eras in terms of the way people view themselves ourselves relative to the divine and in relation to the gods. So yeah, just break that up for the 3 different eras in the thesis. First sentence about ancient Greece, second sentence about the medieval, third sentence in the thesis in the intro about the Renaissance. And then you can just go in depth using examples and definitions of the different forms of humanism in the respective body paragraphs. In the conclusion, as I was saying, this is going to be more of a personal reflection. It's not going to be, it's related to the larger essay, but it's not part of the formal essay. It just asks you to reflect on whether you see yourself more as a Greco-Roman humanist, a Christian humanist, or a Renaissance humanist. Is there one of these belief systems that you feel like you've personally connected with the most? Which one do you feel relates the most to your outlook, your values, your goals, your belief, etc., and why? So hit us with which one you feel like you personally connect with out of these 3 that we've studied this semester, and why. And yeah, you may use first person for this. I don't know how you wouldn't. It's a personal reflection. So that's what I'm looking for in the conclusion. If you have any questions about the essay, the format, the final exam study guide, anything at all that was discussed in this video, just let me know. But that's a quick overview of what we talked about in class. Thanks.